get one lucky shot.
Oh, but I don't know how to play solos. Like, look at me, I'm dead to solo.
We died to He was moving though.
Ronaldo's 1v1 against Peterbot was an embarrassment ritual. I mean, he literally had 100 rounds to defeat Peterbot and couldn't do it once. But since Ron said he was going to rematch against Peterbot, I decided to review hours of his gameplay, just so I could pinpoint exactly what his mistakes were and how he can fix them. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off this video by pointing out his most flagrant mistake, which by the way, most players don't even seem to notice either. His box positioning is horrible. Essentially, it's just the way that Ron positions his character when he plays inside of his own box. In most cases, it seems like he deliberately places his character in the center of his boxes or in like places that are just completely odd, which very often leads to him getting pokeballed or straight up ramped off and then mongrel classic. Like every scenario you don't want to be in is very often just the product of his poor dog horrible positioning. And the best way to fix this mistake is to do the following two things. From the very moment you get in your box, the first thing you want to do is to place a cone. No exceptions. Obviously, the main point of doing that is to avoid getting pieced up like mentioned earlier, but there's also many more advantages. For example, when you get into a tricky situation where somebody just phases in your box or you're getting sprayed at, all you have to do is edit the two front tiles of your cone and instantly protect yourself from any incoming threat. And now for the second thing you want to watch out for, you want to make sure that you position your character in a way that advantages you for your next peak. Now, I know it might sound a little bit hard to understand, so I'm just going to dumb it down a little bit for you guys. Basically, standing on the left side of your box is going to allow you to make most right-hand peeks on your opponent. Whilst if you were standing on the right side of your box, you'd be forcing yourself to be making bad peeks against your opponents. Essentially, all you got to remember is that you need to be on the left side of your cone whenever you're in your own box. Another super bad habit Ron has is that he 50-50s a lot. This results in him being entirely dependent of whether his opponent makes a mistake or not, because he never chooses to actually make a good peek. He just all-ins and hopes he deals more damage than his opponent. And this doesn't exclusively apply to his 1v1s. Even in reload, when he fully boxes his opponent, he decides to get inside of the box himself when he could just stay far away and get free damage on his opponents without taking any in return. And listen bro, there's so many ways to fix this bad habit. The first one being just edit reset. I mentioned it in my other video and it's still an excellent trick that catches everyone off guard. Just edit the wall and reset it. That's it, you get a free tag. I mean, I've done it so often that it's gotten to the point where I pre-fire their pre-fire. It's that OP. Another good and safer alternative is probably to just peanut butter peek, and it's just so good in every scenario. An even quicker option would be to swing peek. If you guys don't know what a swing peek is basically swinging any edit that you make super quickly, getting the shot off and resetting the wall. The reason why this works so well is because it utilizes a mechanic called Peeker's Advantage. I won't go too in depth about this because this is a really complicated concept that relies on Fortnite servers, but all you gotta know is that your opponent will never ever see you if you do it properly. A quick tip that I can give to make this peek even safer is to make sure that your character is always covered behind a wall before you swim. As for the third tip, Ronaldo barely ever covers himself, resulting in him taking crazy amounts of damage in almost every fight. And I noticed that there's two main areas where he really struggles to cover himself. The first one being whenever he's trying to apply pressure, and the second one being his retakes. Basically, in order to properly cover yourself, you need to constantly be aware of where your opponent is and what are the angles that he could use to damage you. In this example, you can see that Ronaldo's spraying up at Peterbot's builds, hoping he can either chop him or simply deal damage. But what he fails to consider is that Peterbot has every angle on him. Like, he's literally out in the open and Peterbot is fully covered. So he just constantly takes chip damage. And then Ronaldo just runs out of patience and goes up to 50-50 Peterbot once again. In this example, Ronaldo should have considered that he's in no angle to actually deal damage to Peterbot. So he should have covered himself by placing a full box around him, but leaving one single opening to proceed for a chop. In that scenario, Peterbot would have probably dropped down, which could have given Ron an opportunity to actually deal damage or full piece. The point to take away is that whenever he's applying pressure, he cannot be in the open. He needs to be spraying from a certain angle that prevents Peterbot from actually shooting at him. And now for the retakes. You can't really blame him for having bad retakes because he hasn't played in years. However, it's definitely time for a refresh, and so there's plenty of videos out there that can actually help him to do retakes. But I'd say that the best way to actually learn retakes is to literally look at montages of very mechanical players and try to copy their builds. So if you ever want to actually learn proper retakes, I'm gonna leave in the description a couple of channels that I just love watching their montages. Literally, those players have insane mechanics, and I learn from them every time they upload a video. I'm also gonna leave a playlist of my favorite montages that you can also watch. They're gonna be very hard to learn at first, but that's how everybody actually improves. Once he's learned all those retakes, he can start using them accordingly depending on where his opponent is sitting at. For example, if he's sitting on your left, why would you do a retake that opens up your left side? You would much rather do a retake that covers your left side and then proceed to go in a direction that advantages yourself. And if there's one last tip I can give, is that he should obviously cover himself whenever he's healing or reloading his gun. There are so many moments where he's just not covered while doing those things. For the next tip, Ronaldo really struggles with his own piece control. He never considers where his opponent might actually come out from, and that very often leads him to a bad spot. In this example, which I know isn't necessarily in the 1v1, but can actually still be applied across his gameplay, you can clearly tell that his opponent is about to move towards him. What Ronaldo does wrong here is that he just holds his pump out thinking his opponent is about to 50-50. But sadly, nowadays, most players know better. So his opponent places the wall in front of him and just full pieces the out of Ron. If Ron actually wants to improve, he needs to start preemptively placing pieces around him to make sure that he doesn't end up in scenarios like this one. For example, you know a player is getting close to you, but you don't know what his next move is. You'd be much better off placing pre-piece control around yourself than holding your shotgun out and praying that things go out your way. What Ron should take away from this is that he should always be in control of his surrounding pieces. And now, it's about time to show Ron how to properly sprint 90. It's by far the most useful and versatile 90, and it's also the fastest. Because I mean, let's be honest, whatever he's doing right there will not work ever. All he's got to do is place a floor, a ramp, sprint, and repeat until he's satisfied. However, we can definitely take this up a notch. Since we know Peterbot is basically everywhere and knows how to properly use his angles, Ron is going to need to know how to cover his 90s. This following move is one of the most useful he can learn as of right now. And it's a sprint 90, just covered. In order to effectively cover yourself when you sprint 90 up, you want to picture that there's an opponent facing one certain direction, and you're going to want to cover yourself from that angle using walls. It's also worth noting that sprint 90s are best used in zone wars because of how effective they are in there. There are so many instances where Ron could have just looked up and placed a wall to fully cover himself and even piece control Peterbot, but he never did, which goes to prove how bad he actually needs to learn high walls. High walls are essentially the best way to be aggressive and defensive at the same time. Kind of like the 90s we just mentioned, you want to place walls that cover you, but instead you want to use them to play aggressively. So basically, whenever you side jump or you know your opponent is nearby, you just want to extend your walls upwards. From that point on, you just edit a window, cone your enemy, piece control them, and just do whatever you want. And if there's one last tip I could give Ron, it would be to learn how to use his SMG to bait his opponent. It's a really simple trick that can go a long way. Basically, whenever your opponent is staring at you with his shotgun out, you just want to spray the piece in front of you down to 1 HP, let him pre-fire the wall, and then pull out your shotgun and get some damage in return. During the 1v1, there were so many moments where Peterbot could have actually fallen for this trick. With all of this being said, I think that if Ron actually keeps practicing these moves, he's 100% winning this fight against Peterbot. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end. I appreciate it so much more than you think. This seriously means the world to me. So comment what you want to see next, like the video, subscribe. You guys know the drill, seriously. But that being said, I'll be streaming on Twitch every day. I've been streaming on Twitch every day. That's a lie. And now that college is over, like no more 3-month upload gap or anything like that. I'm actually going to be consistent. So yeah, college is over, man. Life's about to be great.